Alright guys, today I got a really important topic. I want to talk about how to persevere through incremental improvements. I'm going to use the example of weight loss and how to persevere to get to your goal. Next, I'm going to talk about a technique I use called thresholding to make sure that I'm on track and help indicate when I need to change something in my diet to help break a plateau. I use these techniques in a weight loss example. However, these techniques can be applied for learning any new skill or following through to a certain goal. And I'm so excited to share them with you today. When we have a plan or a goal, we usually start somewhere. This is where we want to be. And ideally, we would like to get on a straight path to where we want to be. But this never happens. And so let's take an example of losing weight. So when you want to be persistent, you need a goal and a plan. And the goal will be set out to how you want to be, what you want to look like physically. And the plan will highlight how you'll get there. So you'll have a start date and an end date. And nothing is ever really perfect. So when I started my diet for summer, I started at around 132 pounds. My goal weight is about 118 pounds. And ideally, I would want to lose 1 pound of fat per week to get to this goal. But we all know that we never can really hit that perfectly. We do cheat meals, we eat something that we shouldn't be eating, and we're not always on track. So sometimes we deviate. And then it brings us back. So instead of being at 127 pounds, you're at 130. And then you get back on course again. And then you deviate, and then you come back again, and then you deviate. But eventually you want to get to this. This is where persistence comes in handy. So when you get to this point where you see that you're deviating because either you're not sticking to your diet, could be one reason, a whole bunch of variables. But you need to be aware that when you get off track, there's a reason why. And if you can pinpoint this reason why and resist them and be persistent, you can get back on track. And I find when I didn't have a start date or an end date, I would see maybe some cookies. I'm a really big chocolate fan, so I'd take a little bite of the chocolate and then I would say, oh, that's okay, I'll start my diet again tomorrow. And then I'll be like, oh, I'll eat the whole chocolate bar. It's okay, I'm starting tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, you feel guilty. And then this totally gets you off track. And when you feel guilty, it's important not to indulge too much. You forgive yourself. Okay, you ate the chocolate bar, you put that away, you leave that behind you, and you get back on track. Never let yourself deviate off course too much, because then it gets even harder to come back onto course. And so my suggestion is, when being persistent with your diet, is to forgive yourself when you feel guilty and get back on track. Because what you're doing when you indulge is you're pushing your end date further and further out. If you push it further and further out, you eventually get to a point where you never reach that end goal. It's also important to note that when doing a diet and trying to lose weight, it won't be consistent over time. So this is what it kind of looks like. This is weight in pounds, and this is time. And so let's take my example again. 132. At some point, I want to get to 118. This is what it looks like. You lose some weight and then you gain it back. You lose some weight, you gain it back. This continuous cycle of ups and downs. And sometimes you plateau and then you have to make an adjustment to your diet. Make sure that you're being persistent and you're getting to know your body, where you can make these incremental improvements in your diet, because everyone's a little bit different. So you really have to understand how your body reacts to diets and working out. It's an experiment, and you have to be constantly getting to know your body. So sometimes you plateau, you change something, and then you start losing again. And then you lose and lose, and then you plateau again. And then eventually you can reach your goal. If you indulge in something, just forgive yourself and get right back on track. Don't let your cravings take over your life and your diet. And you make sure that you're staying within the thresholds. So if you plateau, make sure that you don't indulge in chocolate bars or anything that's junk food. You stick to your diet, you eat cleanly, you're just making improvements. Either you're
doing a little bit more cardio, or you're changing your macros, or you're doing whatever to get out of this plateau. But you make sure that you're staying within the threshold. And this means that if you get off track, you stop feeling guilty and you get right back on track again. So my tips would be, you can indulge, but don't let it make you feel guilty. Get back on track. Number 3, stay within the thresholds. It will be different for different people, but I would say it's plus or minus 1 pound from where you are. For example, if right here this is like 127, I would make sure that when I'm plateauing, I'm sticking in between 128 and 126. And I make these improvements within my diet until I'm able to break that 126. And then I'm on track to losing weight again. What's also good about using this threshold technique is that when you start to plateau in between, for example, you're at 127 and you're plateauing between 128 and 126, this is an indicator that something needs to be changed in your diet. Alright guys, so I'm going to keep this video really short. It's just to get the special nuggets out of this that will help you guys stay persistent and make incremental improvements when trying to get to your certain goal. I used an example of weight loss, but this can be applied to any type of goal or any type of skill or anything you want to learn. Being persistent and making incremental improvements is something different from being intelligent or book smart. But when you can put the two together, it makes accomplishing goals so much easier. And I think that these are two different skills that, when married together, make such a difference.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe below if you found the information interesting and learned something new. This helps me make more videos like this for you.